This world has been connected, tied to the darkness, soon to be completely eclipsed.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts Final Mix Proud Difficulty walkthrough. We're about to fight Oogie Boogie and a few other bosses coming up at the end of Halloween Town, but before we get there, I'm taking on a couple of White Knights, as you can see in this extremely frustrating section, because this enemy likes to jump, and they space you quite well so that you miss with your Keyblade. And I'm also using one of the shorter Keyblades in the game, which does a lot of power, but unfortunately when these enemies do that attack that you keep seeing them do, they're going to tech you every single time, because it's a move that cannot be broken. It doesn't seem like, it just flinches you off. So you'll notice I do save my abilities and I hit them with those things. And I am going to go back onto a tangent I was speaking about in a previous video, but I want to give people some numbers for these enemies and some names and things, because it's one of the more unique aspects of this guide, and I'm enjoying doing it. So we will move along to Halloween Town and see what the book has to say. The Book of Truths and Knowledge. So the search goats we've seen before, but they're going to be in Halloween Town. White Knight are the enemies that I was just killing there. It says that they have 60 life, 24 strength, 20 defense, and they give 16 experience. They drop money balls, which is useful, 5 of them in total, and there's a 2% chance of a high potion dropping, 0.5% chance of a mega potion dropping, and a 4% chance of a lucid gem. So if you're looking for lucid gems, they're your guy. Or one of you guys, unless there's a higher percentage elsewhere. So another one of the enemies you're going to be facing here is the gargoyle. He looks like a gargoyle, so he should be easy to place, even though he's not on the screen. It says he has 70 life, 24 strength, 20 defense, and he gives 20 experience. His attack type is fire, so he probably has a good defense. No, fire does the same damage as everything else, which is bizarre. But he has a 2% chance of dropping an ether, he has a 0.5% chance of dropping a mega ether, and a 4% chance of lucid gems. So Halloween Town is the lucid gem land with the looks. And I believe that is everybody up until the boss, so I'll pop the book down until we get to Locke's Shock and Barrel, I think they're called. The 3 little kids, and we'll see what it says then. But the thing with this is I think I'm wanting to open the chests, and the only way to open the chests here, guys, is to kill everything, because on this game, you can't do it when you're in combat. If you're wanting to just progress, just go through the gates in front of me there and completely skip this encounter. I don't think it'll be much of a detriment, because Locke to the 3-kid boss can be tricky, because you can die very fast on Proud difficulty. Oogie Boogie is simple, and the final form of Oogie is more of an environmental puzzle than anything truly challenging. But in the previous video I was talking about why my Bayonetta video walkthrough, has been audio swapped, and I was talking about some of the characteristics of partnerships on YouTube and some of the ways that some people build YouTube channels that can be looked down upon or frowned upon depending on your perspective. And I was kind of moving it full circle to say that partnerships help you with copyrights, but the problem with it is before you can apply for the partnership, you have to not have any copyrighted material on your channel. So for a lot of people this means re-uploading things, but unfortunately for me that meant thousands of videos had to change. And I say thousands, which is incorrect, because it was about 1,000 videos that I had to amend. And it was all for one reason really, and that is I am too honest of a person. Because I see other channels that are partnered that have copyrighted material all the time and nothing happens, because it's just there, it's not doing anything, and it's fine. I even questioned somebody saying, how the hell did you manage to get this partnership to go through when your intro is ripped from an anime? It's ripped from a copyrighted work. And apparently it was okay. It was one of them things where they didn't see it, they didn't notice it, they didn't question it, so it never came up in conversation. And at the time I was so afraid that it would damage my channel that I wanted everything to be perfect. So I tried my ass off to make it perfect before I agreed to sign this contract that put me into a partnership. And what it meant I had to go into Video Manager on my YouTube channel. I had to click the video in question, because you had to do them individually at this point. You couldn't do them as a group, which is baffling, but it's how it worked. And then from there I had to go into an option that was called audio swap, and it was the new feature of YouTube at the time. As I go through the gates anyway and don't pick up any chests. Fucking ironic. And what happens is it loaded up the thing. My internet's not very fast, as a lot of people know. And I essentially had to pick a song to fit over the video. And my videos ranged anywhere from 4 minutes to 30 minutes. So I had to pick a bunch of different songs. And I didn't just pick the first song I found. I actually listened to a couple of the songs to try and find something that wasn't, you know, complete dog shit to put on my video to be a representation of myself. And a lot of them are really mellow, like fucking feng shui kind of instrumental things. A couple of them aren't. A couple of them are just instrumental stuff that make you think you're walking on mountains on another planet, and, you know, subterranean excursions into unknown worlds. Some of them are quite interesting that I would actually listen to. For the most, you know, it's free music. You can't really chalk at that, so I would pick the songs, I would save the songs, I would move on to the next video. I would do the same thing. And what would happen is YouTube would only process about 4 of them. And then you'd have to wait, because it wouldn't work. We all know YouTube, it fucks up all the time. It's a temperamental system that's been banged on by millions of people. It's not going to work perfectly all the time. So I was limited to, say, 5 videos that I'd audio swap, and then I'd try another one and it wouldn't work. Then I'd check back in an hour and it still wouldn't work. Then I'd check back in 2 hours and it still wouldn't work. So it was this waiting game of essentially amending about 700 videos to fit this criteria so I could get a partnership made. And a feature that's opened up recently on YouTube is the trim feature, which would have done the same job, only you would be able to hear the commentary, and the thousands of hours that I took to audio swap all those videos that have now essentially ruined them as far as, you know, commentated pieces, wouldn't exist. It would just be the copyrighted music in the intro that I used, of the 5-second start of that video, would now no longer play. So there would be a trade. You would not see my old intros, and, you know, the intros are kind of the milestone of the channel, but at the same time you would still be able to hear me talking, tell you the strategy, telling you little stories like this one, and just hopefully making the product more entertainment, making my guides a little bit different to the dude that just, you know, constantly shouts and swears, or constantly pretends to be scared, or just completely tells you at every single moment exactly what to do. You know, I would be a little bit different, even if you don't like it, and that's fine, but I would be different. And it makes me really sad now, because the irony of this is I want to go back in and change these things, because I really value my early work. And a lot of people go back and they'll say things like, oh, your mic was shit, these videos were awful, and they're only awful because the context now. My mic is much better, it's not by no means perfect, but it's better than what I had. But at the time, it was everything I needed to do what I want to do. You know, to make these gaming videos and do something that I believe in. And it was fine. So I want to go back and I want to have this, you know, this impression of progression. Like, I want people to be able to see that first walkthrough and listen to my nervous commentary, to my really fast, you know, diction and the way that I pronounce things. And I want people to be able to tell that, you know, I've come a long way with it. I'm much more comfortable in front of a microphone talking to myself in a room on my own like a psychopath, which I'm not too sure how proud one wants to be of those things, but it's still interesting, and it gives it that human element, that element of, you know, he's not perfect and this is how much he's grown. And I do like that. I think that's a really valid part, and I want to go back and change them, but the problem is I will have to go back in and reverse the audio swap, and you can only do so many of them per hour, so it's going to be like, it's going to be a faster version of what I had to do the first time on all those videos all over again. And they took like 3 solid days to do it. And a lot of people are probably thinking 3 solid days is nothing, you know, I once spent a week doing this or doing that, or... When I say solid days, guys, I mean I did nothing from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. On the underbelly of YouTube, going through the numbers. That's all I did. And it was fucking soul-destroying. But this is Lock, Shock and Barrel. You'll notice I'm using my special moves. Be careful of that tornado. That killed me when I was recording. But Lock is the red guy. It says he has 150 life, 24 strength, 20 defense. He drops nothing. You only get experience for the one you kill last, apparently. The one with the hat that does the spinning attack is Shock, 120 life, 24 strength, 20 defense. And then the biggest one, or the fattest one, is the little kid. He's called Barrel. He has 180 life, 24 strength, 20 dexterity. So, as you can see, they're not too tough. but they can kill you so quickly. I'm talking, I think the battle started, I went into an attack, and when I came out of it, I got hit by all 3 of the kids and insta-killed. And it's just this notion that I'm not the highest of level. You know, I don't have super good equipment that I've messed about synthesizing to get. I'm just kind of rushing through the game. Well, not so much rushing at this point, but I'm just getting you through the game. Not farming levels, not doing any of the grinding nonsense. And Sora's very vulnerable on Proud difficulty, and the more you're aware of this, the easier time you're going to have. But this is the Oogie Boogie fight. And the cool thing about this fight is on Chain of Memories, which is the game it's kind of a sequel to this, which predates or precedes Kingdom Hearts 2. You fight pretty much all the bosses you fought in this game, and the fights are similar, but they've been modified to fit a Game Boy, because that's what it was originally on. And so what you want to do here, guys, is you want to dodge his attacks, you want to see where he is on the board, and depending on where he is, you want to step on the button, which is going to fence off the area, like that, and then it's going to raise, and then you get to attack him. The first thing Oogie Boogie will do is he'll swing for you, but if you hit him first, you'll interrupt him. Once you've done 1 or 2 combos on him, he will recover, and he'll do a ground bump like that, which knocks you off, and then you just have to keep repeating it. It's really simple. It's not that challenging at all, but it's also a thing of, if you get hit by the traps, if you do start taking damage, it can get kind of awkward. You know, sometimes you'll press the button and he'll walk a different direction and he'll get out of the space. But for the most, this boss fight couldn't be simpler. So let's get his numbers. So this is Oogie Boogie in the first battle. It says, obviously this is on normal. This is on Proud, what you're watching. But these stats are for normal. 450 life, so that's probably higher. 24 strength, 20 defense, 2,500 experience. And he drops a Holy Circlet. And apparently you receive Ansem Report 7 after the battle. So that's quite interesting. Didn't even say that word right. Interesting. But here come the blades. The first form of the blades is... The only thing tricky about this fight, guys, is the camera. It's fucking horrible. Because if you want to keep your eye on Oogie Boogie so that you can make sure you know where he is to trap him, you've got to take your eyes off the traps, because the camera is just not dynamic at all. And it's one of those things where it's going to cause you some serious frustration if you're used to how cameras work now, which they're not perfect, but they're a damn sight better than these ones, because these were the first steps into, you know, the 3-dimensional cameras. A lot of games had fixed cameras. It's just how it worked. But yeah, camera's your biggest pain in this particular instance. But going back to the topic, I will probably eventually trim all the guides, the Bayonetta guide, all the other ones, just so that I can have my back catalogue back. And the thing that gets me the most is the person I was speaking to in my partnership who was telling me the rules. He was the recruiter who demanded everything, you know, no copyright on the channel at all. It's only a problem when you're monetizing, and it doesn't let you monetize copyrighted stuff, so feasibly I could have kept all those videos that I audio swapped, because I was never going to monetize them. I was never going to try and make money off you know, I'm walking on fucking sunshine, or whatever song I put on a silly chopper gunner sequence from Black Ops. That's not what I ever intended to do. And it's just because of my personal honesty and the fact that somebody said this is how it was, and I wanted to be as meticulous as I could, that I could have probably have done nothing, said I'd done it, and then been in the exact same situation and not had any trouble, but it's just not the way that I function, unfortunately. And it's one of those things that's, you know, it's going to make me have a massive session of work in front of me. There's already a massive session of work behind me. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, work is grafting, it's earning, it's, you know, clicking a few videos for a few hours is a piece of piss, but those are the people that don't have the intellectual maturity to acknowledge that anything you do against your will that's laborious and time-consuming, that you feel like you have to do and thus are, you know, compelled to do, can become work very quickly. You know, it's a very subjective thing, and it's just, yeah, that guide is something that I was really proud of at the time, and I think it's a fantastic walkthrough that I would like to be able to share. And I think I'm going to go back to Bayonetta, because I've been getting cravings to play it and do something different. But we'll see. We will see. This is Oogie Boogie anyhow. And as you can see, he's got quite a lot of life. We're not doing much damage because there's not many opportunities to kill him. But this should be the kill hit here. So there's the 2 levels for Sora and Jack and 1 level for Goofy. There's the Fade. Now this is the second form of Oogie Boogie. So on this one, what you have to do is you have to run around smacking his orbs, and you're going to get attacked by fire and environmental stuff, and there's quite a lot of platforming here, and it is a little bit confusing, but just go to whatever part of his body you don't think you've been, and there'll probably be one of these blobs. So the blobs have 90 life, I think. They're called lanterns, I believe. So it says as a note on the enemy as well that the lanterns have a 0 vulnerability to fire, so I suppose they do spew fire, so being vulnerable to it is probably something that's not going to be viable, which we could have guessed without them pointing them out, so I'm curious why they did so. But anyway, just keep on moving through. One of the things I noticed on this fight as well is when I was smacking the blobs, I would hit the fire that was coming towards me. It kind of homes in. It does a lot of damage as well. You want to be super careful. Like that right there is a lantern. I wonder if that's in reference to that, but I think that's just the lantern that Oogie Boogie carries, and there's no need to attack it at all, because all you have to do is kill the blobs. So, yeah, bit of a... Ooh, very close to dying. And I use stop there instead of using heal, which is silly, because heal, if you have Leaf Bracer, is uninterruptible and is essentially free iframes to survive any situation. Which is why when I watch other videos and other playthroughs and I see people take off Leaf Bracer in favour of something stupid, it just completely baffles me. The movie's in Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 fixes a lot of the problems that Kingdom Hearts 1 has. You know, it still has problems of its own, but they're different. And the Leaf Bracer is literally come in response to, I assume, the overwhelming consensus that being interrupted when you're trying to heal is not cool or fun. It's one of the strange things that I've never really understood about this series, and I understand it from a balancing perspective, just not from a fun perspective. Like, there's a game in the series called Birth by Sleep, which I'm currently playing on an emulator, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a fantastic game. I would go as far as to say that, you know, aside from this, which was the first one, and the first one is normally always the best, it's probably the best Kingdom Hearts game, because the combat is really deep and it's been upgraded, it's fresh, it's new, it's fast. There's so much depth to the ability system, and don't get me wrong, the levels are quite short, the bosses are still cool, and you do play them 3 times with, you know, 3 different characters, but for the most, the game is really, really good. But even that game, if you get hit when you're using an ability, you will have to wait for the cooldown of that ability to come back, and you won't do the move. So there will be really strange moments where you do a cure, and you don't heal, and yet you're waiting on the cooldown because it's been interrupted. And the game is so fast that sometimes you don't even notice that they've stopped your attack. And it's dangerous, obviously, when you're playing on a harder difficulty and you're taking on, you know, super tough bosses and things. But that's the end of Halloween Town. Oogie Boogie is down. We get to seal it with the Keyblade. And now we move on to the next world. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.